everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner, and
I'm Ben Lesnick. It's very good to be back.
It is. And what did you do this week, Ben?
I was best man at an old friend's wedding up in Seattle. He's actually the guy I started the Wing Commander website with. So if you go out there, you can probably find some drunken dancing Ben photos.
Ew, more exciting than me. All I've been doing is watching the World Cup soccer.
Although we do have to thank James for doing a fantastic job standing in. And the feedback was excellent. There was one thing out there, though, I think that has terrified the entire development team, and that is this image of James with anime eyes.
I saw that.
That's burned on all of our retinas.
I saw that, and I also saw that we're still kind of awkward. And
Oh, I don't know what they mean by that. We are normal human friends.
see, I think people would actually like that better. All right, it is that time again. Ben, what time is it?
Time for the monthly report. This Tuesday saw the release of the June report, so if you're wondering what was happening at any particular CIG office, check it out. There's a lot of detail in there and some cool pictures.
Be sure to pick up your Gamescom ticket if you haven't already. I think they're almost sold out, right?
Yep, it's going to be a heck of a party.
It is going to be a heck of a party, and we're also looking for somewhere we can shoot around the verse. So if you know or have a beer garden in Cologne,
Really, a beer garden or a beer house or just a small beer room, as long as beer's involved, call us.
trying to finagle a Gamescom booth on the show floor. We'll see how I go with that.
I wonder what we're going to be showing.
Redacted. And now, news from around the verse.
Let's do this one module at a time, starting with Arena Commander. I mean, the big news is we're continuing to improve Arena Commander, and that means including bug fixes, updates to the server. We're also adding features. The UK team is developing something called New Horizons. It's another game mode. It's going to pit people against each other in a new way, and everything else about that one is redacted.
We are balancing and fixing bugs on Capture the Core and Squadron Battle.
And we are reducing friendly fire hits. We have noticed that your wingmen are about as dangerous as the Vandul on occasion. So we're reducing that, and we are also fixing the error in which their guns tend to blow themselves up.
Audio improvements to whiz-by and shield hit effects.
Whoosh!
Whoosh.
Design is focusing on expanding the ship component system. Obviously, we launched with a couple of basic ships, and they have some components, and now we're going to start to give you options, different engines, different guns, different shield generators. It's going to be pretty cool.
And there have been many service-side fixes to improve stability and accuracy.
We are at 30,000 players now, and with the new patch hopefully dropping this week, we should just keep going higher. Onward to Squadron 42, our single-player game. Team at Foundry 42 is hard at work, currently focusing on a vertical slice of Mission 4.
Also making plans for localization for our non-English speaking backers.
That's right. If you're French, German, or speak some other language, we are going to make sure you understand Squadron 42 as well.
Isn't that eFigs?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're also working on multi-crew seat functionality, which is going to be important in the near term for things like the Constellation, and in the long term for things like the Javelin Destroyer.
Behavior. The team at Behavior is working on the design of the Avatar system and our internal system building tools.
Yep. Basically, they're doing the things that are going to let us build Star Citizen. So first we sit down, we build a tool for our designers that will let them create a star system quickly, then create a character quickly, and we just kind of grow exponentially from there.
Heavy UI work also continues on the firing range and Moby Glass.
First thing you're going to be seeing from them, though, is the asteroid hangar, which is so close to done. And once the asteroid hangar hits, you'll also be seeing improvements to the existing hangars as they transition over to the room system. That's going to allow us to expand them in all sorts of cool directions. So if you want like a living room or a bathroom added to your hangar, you will have that option.
They've also finished the implementation of the next hangar flare item, which is a real fun one, except you have to wait and listen to hear it later this month.
It's going to be a cool one. All right, now the one you guys all really want to hear about, ship development.
I just heard about that this morning. It was great. Ship pipeline concept work on the 890 jump was completed at Behavior.
That's our space yacht, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
They've updated the Avenger. It's basically been remodeled, retextured, and you're going to be seeing that in the near future.
Cutlass variants are also now in progress.
Of course, we can't give you any detail on those yet.
No, we can't.
They're going to be good. The internals of the Idris are getting work with focus on rooms that are going to be important for Squadron 42, like the engine room, captain's quarters, reactor room, missile room. I'm looking at my list here, but there's a lot of rooms. Armory, airlock, gonna be good.
Constellation variants are ongoing, focusing now on damaged states and the integration of some of the multiplayer capable rooms, including the generator, cargo room, cockpit, and beds.
We've also got the Vandal bomber coming up. That's also looking great. Concept is finished and it's moving on to production.
Concept for several other expected ships and a few that you don't know about also kicked off last week.
So expect to see more on the Orion and the Carrack in the near future.
Persistent Universe, Tony Zurovec and the Persistent Universe team have been doing what, Ben?
They have been basically getting the design up for the Persistent Universe and building the tools we need to build it out further. They've started with the first 5 systems. They're putting those together now. Those are the first ones you'll play in the beta.
Work is being done on the large world 64-bit conversion, which will let us make much larger environments.
We create worlds, even bigger worlds now. And finally, the character customization pipeline is kicking off. Basically, we saw how much you guys liked the brown coats during the freelancer sale, and we decided that you needed more customization options sooner. So they're working on avatar design, they're working on outfits, possibly integrating some of the tech from Warhorse. It's maybe not as sexy as ships, but it's a really interesting design process.
I think it's sexy. Right.
Well, there you go.
Yep, you see?
She should know sexy.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm lead moderator Will, here to bring you this week's MVP. This week I'm actually joined by Valinor Aerospace. Hello. This week's MVP goes to Lohawk for his Star Citizen music video using original music. Check out this clip. That was awesome. Thank you very much, Lohawk. Your
This week's MVP.
What we have here is the size of a cubic meter of space pants as compared to Freddie Mercury.
Let's go over to Chelsea and Allie for a customer service update. How's it going in CS?
We got a lot of tickets.
Hi, I'm Calix Renault, tech designer at Cloud Imperium Games. And since PAX, I've mostly spent my time ruining all these beautiful ships. And I will not stop ruining the ships. Most recently, I've begun ruining the Cutlass. And one of the good things about having PAX behind us is that we learned a lot about how to build our ships out, how to form the function of these ships. So we are now able to build them out in white box form. Whereas before we sort of built out all the art first and then we would go through and meticulously build the function into it. What I'm doing now is I am taking the Cutlass and turning it into all these beautiful boxes. And these boxes are the hierarchy of how the ship gets built, stitched together, and then ultimately torn apart. So with this, we're able to get right into the full gameplay of having ships, having the thrusters, power output, destruction states, and all of the ways that these systems interact. All of those done before we even get the art for those completed. What this means is that we can work more in parallel than we were able to before. Whereas a lot of the time we'd have to be playing catch up on this system or that in order to get them all to mesh together well. Now, I can make it all work from here with my little flow graph and box system. Here I am inside the Cutlass, and it works. It's still using some of the other HUD elements. But there I am in my Cutlass, and I can even start blowing the wing off. And the back bits and tail and everything currently functions the way that I want it to ultimately. And now that we have this, we can focus on making it pretty again. So that's what I've been doing since PAX, aside from watching all the Twitch streams, which I maybe spent a little too much time on. But I've been doing this too.
Ben, who won the MS Paint contest?
Well, as you know, last week we offered a RSI mouse pad signed by the entire team, to whoever could draw us the best MS Paint version of the Freelancer. Yeah. We received a lot of very interesting entries, a couple of which we'd like to share here. Our third runner-up, who'll get 10,000 UEC, is Dragon64 with the Robert Sandwich Industries version.
Okay.
The second runner-up, who will get 15,000 UEC, is Cranot with the Fish Lancer. And the winner of this fantastic mouse pad is Angry Peas with the Speed Freelancer.
Yes.
Go Speed Freelancer,
yes.
Go.
Congratulations, Angry Peas.
And this week, Sandy sits down with our Bug Smasher star, Mark Abent.
Morning, Mark. How are you this morning?
Pretty good. Had some coffee, so I'm about, waking up now. Yeah.
I've been hearing some bug smashers in the background.
Yeah, I guess they're fixing up the building, finding some bugs or something, jackhammering it away.
Jackhammering, sawing, drilling, yeah.
You name it, they're doing it. We even had some people going up the stairs, so you might hear Godzilla in the background a few times.
Exactly. Well, we're here early because you get in here early, so that helps.
Yeah, I get here at like 5:30 every day just to beat LA traffic.
All right, well, I have some fans who would like to know some answers to questions. No Blemish would like to know, what has been the most frustrating or most memorable bug you've come across so far as a programmer?
There's a lot of them, but if I narrow it down to Star Citizen on this project, I actually have a fun little bug that's happening right now that me and a couple other the studios, UK and Austin, are looking into, where in multiplayer, if the player spawns, as soon as he spawns in, he can be like standing like this. And if you move around, the IK just has his hand, so he's just like, it's so funny. But it only happens on like the initial spawn and if you're lagging. The worst part is, myself and a few other people can't even replicate it. And QA gets it all the time. So we're just trying to chase down this bug that we ourselves can't replicate, but other people get it no problem. And it's just so irritating because it's like, what's causing this? And that's one thing that we're chasing down now, probably the most annoying bug so far.
I guess that has nothing to do with location or computer specs or anything like that.
The funny part is we were wondering if it was like, maybe it was location, so we added some like fake lag and network latency, still couldn't get it. And we're like, all right, maybe your computers are too fast. So I actually asked our IT guy, Dennis, if I could borrow a slow hard drive because we have SSDs. So after like spending a couple hours copying all the game over to it, still didn't get the bug.
How slow are we talking?
Really slow. It's like just getting into the game took a couple minutes compared to SSD where it only took maybe a few seconds to get in.
All right.
And even with the lag, it went from like 2 minutes to get into the game to 10 minutes because simulating dropping packets and lag, and it was just like, the server was like, I sent you this information to get already. How come you don't know? And the client's like, because I forgot it.
All right. Scully would like to know, how many years have you been programming? What languages have you used? And what types of programs have you worked on prior to Star Citizen?
So I actually started programming in 1998. I actually had no idea what I was doing at the time because I was only like 12. But I started originally modding this game called Half-Life. They came out with SDK and I just wanted to know why it worked, how it worked. And pretty much ever since then, I've just been, programming all kinds of things. For that particular project, it was C++. And through there, I was able to join another mod group called Black Mesa Source, which is still in development for today. And from that, I moved on to my first retail project called Insurgency, which is actually available now on Steam. And then I wanted to go on to something bigger and better, so I applied here and I got in. And all three of those projects use C++, but I have done some scripting stuff using Python and Perl for all three of those projects, including this one, to generate scripts or things that I need to run real quick. But the primary language has been C++.
Jack T. Colton would like to know, as a gameplay programmer, my understanding is that your focus is more on the game strategy and how to implement the mechanics to create the feel of the game. Chris Roberts has been clear on his vision for Star Citizen to date. Which part of this vision has been the hardest to get the feel right for the game?
I would say the hardest part is getting the ships to work in multiplayer, because we have, Chris's vision wants like these very complicated interactions with ships, which is really easy to do in single player. But in multiplayer, you have to deal with sending stuff across the network, making sure it syncs up, and you just get all these fun bugs like the first question where the player sits up, which doesn't happen in single player. So that's probably the hardest thing. It's just making sure everything works, but some of the things I touch as a gameplay programmer is not just code, it's design. I work with the designers, they envision how something's supposed to work and go, all right, you want it to work this way, here's how we could do it, and how it's going to work in single player and multiplayer. Maybe it'll be a little bit different, maybe it'll be the same. And then how it's going to be set up in the scripts, how the artists are going to work it. So it's not just programming this thing, it's figuring out how it's going to work everywhere and how everyone's going to touch it.
So does that mean you have to write two separate pieces of code for single player and multiplayer?
It's entirely possible. I mean, there's some instances right now where with CryEngine, we have this thing called the editor, where we could hop in as a designer and create a level and move our ships around, hop in the game, hit escape, hop in the game, and in there, your environment's completely different from joining like a multiplayer match. So you have to handle respawning and all sorts of things differently than what you would do with normal clients and stuff. So, like in the editor, your ship could explode, hit escape, you want the ship to go back and remain intact, but in multiplayer, if your ship explodes, you either leave it there or you create a new one. So you have to handle things a little bit differently, depending upon your environment.
Sounds complicated.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But it's all fun.
Last question.
All right.
Cato would like to know, DFM AC has been running very well, and it led me to wonder how many process threads are used to calculate and simulate the physics-related articles of the DFM AC, i.e. each thruster in use, delta of player and NPCs, counter inertia from rapid firing of weapons, and crashing. Are each of these separated on their own process, or are they grouped?
So we actually have 2 threads for physics, and we call them job threads, and anytime some kind of physics interaction, collision or something like that, or has to process movement, it'll use one of those threads to do it. And then we have our main thread, which is where all the game logic for weapons and ships lie. So our thrusters actually have to be on both physics and the main. So there's been a lot of fun crashes where the physics thread will try to access something that the main thread has closed, and it's just been like a lot of back and forth to protect between the 2 threads, because I'm not sure how many of our fans know, these threads will run at the same time or not. It depends when they get called and a lot of underlining stuff, but specifically for the thrusters, we have the item attachment stuff, which is all handled on the main thread or the game thread, and that's how the thrusters get attached, detached. So if you shoot them, they could come apart, or if you use them too much and you have too much heat, they might get damaged and again get detached. Meanwhile, physics might be calculating all our physics calculations for that thruster, and if we don't tell the physics thread to, whoa, wait, I'm about to detach this, it's gonna just crash. So I was actually working with our physics programmer, John Pritchett, on trying to prevent such crashes, because his thruster code is one complicated beast, but it works so well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of protection to make sure that they could work in sync.
Right, well, thank you for your interview. We look forward to seeing you on the next Bug Smashers, or today's Bug Smashers. And I think it'll be around for a while, so.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
I wonder what food tastes like.
Seeing as our Around the Verse logo competition was so successful, we thought that we would do that for 10 for the Chairman.
Yeah, we were blown away by the entries we got for Around the Verse, and we kind of feel that the 10 for the Chairman logo is getting a little long in the tooth, needs a new look, and who better to give it than the Star Citizen backers who created the show in the first place.
How do they do that, Ben?
Well, we've created a thread at the RSI forums. You can go and submit your ideas for a logo. The winner will get an Origin 350R racer ship and the honor of knowing that they have their logo at the top of every episode of Chris Roberts' show.
Coming up, on Friday, you'll all go inside the asteroid hangar with the team from Behavior in an all-new Inside CIG.
It's looking pretty cool, and you got a sneak peek at it earlier, didn't you?
I did, in Montreal. It was very cool, so I'm looking forward to seeing the final product.
Speaking of things they don't celebrate in Montreal, a happy 4th of July to all of our American backers.
And non-Americans who celebrate.
Especially those in the UK who are probably happy to be rid of us.
Well, that's it for today. Thank all you guys for watching. Keep the feedback coming. We read all of the forum comments, and I have to pat you on the back. See, I read all the forum comments.
Well, thank you to whoever told her to pat me on the back.
I know. What about mine? No, we're supposed to exchange.
Oh,
Okay, whatever. It's okay.
There you
There we go. Yeah, all right.
So be sure to join us next week. We'll be sitting down with Dan Tracy, trying to get a little bit more inside his head. And I guess that's it for Around the Verse this week.
That is not quite it for this week's Around the Verse, as we have a little sneak peek at some concept art.
Oh, well, after that then, we'll see you Around the Verse.
We will. See you around the verse.
Point your face at things and pull the trigger.